Hey there, welcome back to the channel. They say they've changed. They're reaching out more. Maybe they're apologizing, saying things you once begged to hear. They want another chance. But before you let that message undo months of silence, healing, and growth, ask yourself the one question no one likes to face. Is this love, or is it just loneliness dressed as something familiar? It's easy to confuse comfort with compatibility, history with destiny, or guilt with growth. But the truth is, just because someone returns doesn't mean they're ready. And more importantly, it doesn't mean you should be. When the past comes knocking, you don't owe it your peace. You owe yourself clarity. The silence between you wasn't just time passing. It was a space for reflection. Growth happened there. Scars were healing. Boundaries were being built. And now, suddenly, they want to talk again. But you need to remember, not every apology is redemption. Not every message is meant to be answered. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And when someone from your past reappears, your thoughts can quickly spiral. Nostalgia, regret, guilt, hope. That's why clarity is everything. This isn't just about whether they have changed. It's about whether you've grown enough to ask the questions that matter. Real questions, not emotional guesses. Because it's not about how much they say they care now, it's about whether the foundation you rebuild with them will be stronger than what broke last time. In this video, we're going to walk through 7 questions you must ask before you even consider opening that door again. These aren't just relationship questions, they're soul check-ins, because your peace isn't worth gambling for a maybe. Your healing is too sacred to throw back into chaos. This video isn't about judgment, it's about empowerment. Whether you're still in pain, just got that "I miss you" text, or you're quietly considering if it could work this time, I'm here to help you pause, breathe, and think. Not emotionally, but rationally, like a Stoic. Because you don't need to act fast. You need to act wise, and that starts now. So, if you're ready to stop the cycle and start leading with strength, hit like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell. We're diving deep, and by the end of this video, you won't just know whether you should take them back. You'll know exactly why. Let's begin your emotional comeback with truth. Question 1. Why did we break up? Before you entertain the idea of giving someone another chance, the first and most essential question you must ask yourself is this: why did we break up in the first place? It seems obvious, but when emotions are high and nostalgia clouds your judgment, it's easy to forget. The mind romanticizes the good and downplays the bad. But if you don't take an honest inventory of what actually broke the relationship, you risk walking right back into the same pain you worked so hard to escape. Was it external factors, distance, timing, or life changes? Or was it something deeper, dishonesty, disrespect, emotional immaturity, or repeated neglect? You need to get specific, not general, not "we just drifted apart." Ask yourself, was there a pattern of unmet needs? Did you feel heard, seen, respected? Did they show up consistently, or only when they feared losing you? Breakups don't happen in isolation. They are often the result of slow, compounding pain. And unless both people have truly confronted those issues, time apart won't magically fix what went wrong. Remember what Epictetus said: "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That applies to relationships too. Before you step back into someone else's life, or let them back into yours, you must ask yourself, what do I want this relationship to be? What kind of love do I want to give and receive? And then ask, Did our old dynamic match that? If the breakup happened because of something fixable, say job-related distance or misaligned schedules, then sure, the situation might look different now. But if it ended because of emotional neglect, betrayal, or repeated conflict, those wounds don't heal just because someone says, "I miss you." Words are easy, but have their actions changed? A second chance should never be based on how long you've been apart or how much you miss them. It should be based on whether both of you have evolved, not just moved on with time, but actively done the work. Ask yourself, have they acknowledged their part in the breakup? Have you both taken responsibility, or is someone still blaming the other? Is there proof of growth, or just the promise of it? This isn't about judging your past, it's about protecting your future. Because unless the root cause is healed, the cycle will repeat. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but eventually. You owe it to your future self to look back with clarity before you step forward with hope. Question 2. Have we both grown since the breakup? When someone returns to your life asking for another chance, the real question isn't just, do they miss me? It's, have we both grown since we fell apart? Because time alone doesn't change people. Time is just space. Growth is what you choose to do inside that space. Breakups crack things open, your identity, your patterns, your wounds. But have those cracks led to healing, or have they just been covered up with apologies and charm? You need to look for real transformation, not temporary change, because it's easy to say the right things when someone fears losing you again, but real growth doesn't come from fear. It comes from responsibility, accountability, and self-awareness. Have they truly looked in the mirror and owned their behavior? Have they identified the toxic habits, the lack of communication, the emotional immaturity, or whatever it was that made love unsustainable the first time? And you, have you taken that same mirror and turned it inward? Because this isn't just about what they've done. It's about what you've learned too. Sometimes we outgrow people not because they're bad, but because we're finally seeing clearly. The version of you who cried during the breakup may not be the same version of you standing here now. You've probably developed new standards, healthier boundaries, a stronger sense of self. So you have to ask, does the connection you once had still fit with who you are today? If it doesn't, then no matter how much history you share, the future won't align. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The same goes for relationships. Don't just talk about being better together. Be better separately first. And only then, when both of you have stood in solitude and confronted your own chaos, can you come together with something worthy of rebuilding. Growth isn't just about reading books or going to therapy or hitting the gym. It's about how someone shows up in conflict, how they handle silence, how they respect your boundaries even when they want to cross them. Growth is proven through restraint, not promises. It's seen in changed patterns, not recycled words. So when they say they've changed, don't just listen. Watch. Watch their consistency, their humility, their actions over time. Anyone can evolve for a week. But true growth becomes part of someone's character. It's not something they put on like a mask to get you back. If you have both grown, not just in comfort, but in character, then maybe there's a chance for something new. But if one person stayed the same while the other transformed, the relationship will collapse under imbalance again. So ask yourself truthfully, has this time apart been a season of growth or just a pause between repeated mistakes? Question 3. Are we truly compatible now? Falling back into an old connection can feel like slipping into a familiar rhythm. But before you get swept up in nostalgia, stop and ask yourself, are we truly compatible now, or are we just emotionally comfortable? Because who you were back then may not be who you are today. And the same goes for them. Time doesn't just change behaviors, it reshapes dreams, values, priorities, and the kind of peace we're willing to accept or reject. What once felt like love might now feel like emotional chaos. What used to be tolerable might now feel like a boundary being crossed. Compatibility isn't about how well you get along when things are good. It's about how well your visions align when life gets hard. Do you still want the same things? Do your definitions of love, commitment, communication, and healing still match? Or are you trying to force a puzzle piece into a life it no longer fits? Marcus Aurelius said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." If you've built harmony within, then the relationship you choose must also reflect that peace. Otherwise, you'll constantly feel like you're betraying your new self just to keep an old connection alive. Don't just ask if there's still chemistry, ask if there's mutual respect. Do they understand your emotional needs, your ambitions, your healing journey? Do they listen when you speak? Not to respond, but to understand. And more importantly, do you feel seen, heard, and safe being exactly who you are today? Because true compatibility isn't just liking the same movies or laughing at the same jokes. It's being able to grow in the same direction without losing yourself. It's being able to disagree with respect, to heal without punishment, to build a life together without asking the other person to shrink. Compatibility is spiritual, emotional, mental, and if any part of that is out of alignment, love alone won't carry the weight. So be honest. Are you aligned in your lifestyle choices, your long-term goals, your family values, your approach to conflict, your vision of success and peace? Or are you trying to make it work by overlooking the red flags that broke you the first time? Just because someone feels familiar doesn't mean they're still right for you. Sometimes love lingers even after compatibility dies. And that's the most dangerous kind of love, because it keeps you tied to a version of the past that no longer fits your present. The relationship might have once felt like home, but if it now feels like a place where you can't breathe, then you're not meant to live there anymore. Love that forces you to silence parts of yourself isn't love. It's emotional compression disguised as romance. You don't just need a partner who loves you, you need one who aligns with the life you're building, because compatibility isn't luxury, it's necessity. Question 4. Is there genuine forgiveness? Rebuilding a relationship without true forgiveness is like constructing a house on a cracked foundation. It may stand for a while, but every storm will test its strength and threaten to bring it down. You must ask yourself honestly, have I truly forgiven them, and have they truly forgiven me? Or are we both just trying to move forward while dragging the weight of the past behind us? Real forgiveness isn't about pretending nothing happened. It's about consciously releasing the bitterness, the blame, and the emotional scorekeeping that poisons connection. It's not saying what you did was okay. It's saying, I'm no longer allowing what you did to control how I feel, how I love, or how I live. Because if you're still holding on to the pain, the relationship will become a battlefield where every argument reopens old wounds. You'll bring up past betrayals as weapons. They'll walk on eggshells, fearing punishment for history they can't rewrite. That's not healing. That's emotional residue disguised as reconciliation. And Epictetus said it perfectly. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you. If you're stepping back into a connection with clenched fists and guarded hearts, then no matter how much love remains, it will never be enough to break through that invisible wall of resentment. Forgiveness requires vulnerability. It demands emotional courage. You must be willing to speak the truth about what hurt you, listen to the truth about how you hurt them, and decide, without manipulation or pressure, whether you're truly ready to release it. That means no passive-aggressive jabs, no guilt-tripping, no emotional blackmail, just clean, honest acceptance of the past and a commitment not to use it as a weapon in the future. If you can't talk about what happened without reactivating the pain, then the scar hasn't closed, it's still a wound. And a relationship built on unhealed wounds will become a cycle, not a sanctuary. You deserve to feel safe, not suspicious, heard, not haunted. If you're constantly triggered, if trust is on life support, if you feel like you're still waiting for the apology you never got or the closure you were denied, then it's not forgiveness, it's emotional suppression. Don't confuse avoidance with peace. Real forgiveness clears the air. It creates space for new memories instead of walking in the shadow of old mistakes. So ask yourself, am I forgiving because I've healed? Or am I rushing to forgive because I'm afraid they'll leave again if I don't? Forgiveness given out of fear is not forgiveness, it's survival. And love that needs to be bought with silence isn't love. If they haven't acknowledged the hurt, if you haven't felt emotionally validated, if apologies are vague or incomplete, then you're not building from peace, you're building from pressure. And pressure always bursts the pipe. Forgive when you're ready, not when you're desperate. Question 5. Are we both willing to work on the relationship? A relationship doesn't thrive on love alone. It survives and grows through mutual effort, through the shared willingness to show up on the hard days, to have uncomfortable conversations, and to keep choosing each other even when it's not easy. Before stepping back into a former relationship, you must ask, are we both equally invested in doing the work this time? It's not enough for one person to carry the emotional weight, while the other simply enjoys the benefits of reconciliation. There must be a mutual fire, a shared responsibility to create something stronger than what broke before. Are you both willing to communicate without blame, to resolve conflict without withdrawing, to apologize sincerely and adjust accordingly? True healing and reconnection demand emotional maturity, not passive agreements or vague promises to do better. It's about clarity, consistency, and concrete action. Are both of you open to setting healthy boundaries and respecting them, even when ego or habit wants to override them? Are you both prepared to support each other's growth without jealousy, resistance, or control? Because love without growth is stagnation, and support without boundaries becomes suffocation. Seneca wisely said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Relationships, too, are strengthened through the trials they overcome, not by pretending difficulties don't exist, but by facing them together with respect and resilience. Have you sat down and discussed your expectations moving forward? Have you explored how to navigate disagreements, triggers, and miscommunications without reverting to the same destructive patterns that caused the initial break? These aren't conversations to avoid, they are tests of readiness. And if either of you hesitates, evades, or downplays the importance of this work, it's a red flag in disguise. Because change isn't real unless it's practiced consistently, not just preached when emotions are high. Look for willingness, not just words. Look for effort, not just emotion. When both people are truly ready, there's a rhythm to how they move together, an openness, a humility, and a sense of shared responsibility that's impossible to fake. Love, in its highest form, is a team effort. You either rise together or fall apart again. So ask yourself, are we both reaching for the same future? Or am I reaching while they're watching? Because a relationship worth returning to is one where both hands are equally extended, both hearts are equally open, and both minds are equally focused on the work ahead. Question 6. Are we reuniting for the right reasons? Before stepping back into a past relationship, you must ask the most brutally honest question of all. What is truly pulling me toward this person again? Is it a return to love or a retreat from loneliness? Often, the emotional gravity of silence, nostalgia, and unresolved longing can blur our clarity. The mind begins to romanticize what once was, magnifying the good and muting the bad. But clarity doesn't come from longing. It comes from self-inquiry. Are you seeking them because of who they are today or because of the comfort they once gave you? Are you motivated by the love you still feel or the fear that no one else will understand you the same way? True reconciliation must be born from strength, not desperation. From mutual respect, not emotional dependency. If you're considering going back because you're afraid to be alone, because you're tired of the dating world, or because friends and family think you made a mistake, pause. Because none of these reasons reflect emotional readiness, they reflect emotional avoidance. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." And that's the core issue. Are you projecting fantasies onto the idea of reunion because your estimate of pain, loneliness, or uncertainty is too overwhelming to sit with? The real danger isn't in loving someone again. It's in loving someone for the wrong reasons. Are you trying to reclaim who you were when you were with them, instead of focusing on who you've become since they left? Because if the motive is to escape discomfort rather than to build something new with mutual intention, the relationship will collapse under the same pressure it once did. There's a difference between love that grows and love that fills a void. One builds a future. The other delays your healing. You owe it to yourself to ensure that your yes isn't a bandage for unprocessed pain. Are you willing to say no to familiarity in order to protect your peace? Are you choosing this reunion because it adds value to your life, or because it distracts you from the parts of yourself you've avoided facing? Answering that truthfully could be the difference between breaking free or being trapped in an emotional loop. Don't let weakness disguise itself as romance. Don't let fear call itself fate. Real love doesn't beg to be needed. It asks to be chosen from a place of wholeness. So, be honest with yourself. Am I returning out of fullness or out of fear? Because love that's rooted in fear is not love at all. It's avoidance dressed in emotional memory. And you deserve a love that's chosen with clarity, not clung to out of confusion. Question 7. Can we build a new relationship, not resume the old one? If you're thinking of going back, make one truth your cornerstone. You cannot resume the same relationship and expect a different outcome. The version of the relationship that ended for a reason. To return to it as if time didn't pass, as if pain didn't teach, as if growth didn't occur, is to step back into the same emotional trap disguised as comfort. You're not the same person you were during that first chapter, and neither are they. So, ask yourself, can you both co-create something entirely new, or are you merely seeking to restore a version of the past that no longer fits? True reconciliation is not a rewind button. It's a rebuild, brick by brick, boundary by boundary, truth by truth. And that takes courage. It takes clarity. It takes two people willing to let go of their old roles and show up differently, more consciously, more kindly, and more intentionally. As the Stoics teach us, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man. Everything flows, everything changes, and if you both haven't reevaluated the entire structure of how you once loved, communicated, argued, and healed, then you're likely stepping back into emotional muscle memory, not meaningful connection. Ask yourselves, can we redefine how we relate to one another? Can we speak up where silence used to reign? Can we listen without ego, support without control, love without attachment? These are not just hopeful questions, they are required foundations. Because without them, you're not building, you're re-inhabiting ruins, and ruins don't support new life, they only echo old stories. To truly build a new relationship, both of you must be willing to confront the ghosts of what was, not to bury them in silence, but to acknowledge and release them. If either of you is still looking to restore the comfort of the past, instead of co-creating something resilient in the present, the connection will decay under the weight of unmet expectations. So be honest, not just with them, but with yourself. Is this truly a new beginning or a soft return to what broke you? Love should not be a loop. It should be a ladder, rising, evolving, and built with conscious steps forward. Don't just fall back into love. Rise into it. And this time, don't build what once was. Build what never existed before, but always should have. Rekindling a relationship is never a decision to take lightly. It demands introspection, honesty, and courage. The questions we've explored together aren't just about finding the right answers. They're about gaining the clarity you need to make a decision grounded in self-respect and personal growth. It's not about resurrecting a past that no longer serves you, but about choosing to create something better, something rooted in authenticity and mutual respect. Stoicism teaches us that our happiness comes not from external circumstances, but from our internal state. So, as you consider whether to reunite, remember that your worth is not tied to anyone's past actions, but to the choices you make moving forward. Use these questions to empower your decision and to guide you towards relationships that align with the person you are today, not the person you were yesterday. If you found value in this video, I invite you to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who might benefit from this perspective. Drop your thoughts, your questions, and your own experiences in the comments. We're all here to learn and grow together. Stay strong, stay wise, and remember, your worth is not defined by your past, but by the power of the choices you make today.